Welcome to the commission meeting of Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. Shall we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Manager McGill, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Flynn,
Present.
Commissioner Grella,
Aye.
Commissioner Ranny,
Here.
Commissioner Swager Wilson,
Here.
Commissioner Silverman.
Here. Thank you. Could you have the manager's announcements, please, and review a summary of the discussion?
I got it.
Summary of the discussion. We got a long meeting. I gotta get this thing operating properly. Fire away.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier tonight, the commission met in discussion session and we received information and discussed the following items. We received additional information on the solid waste and recycling bids that were received. We heard a review and recommendation of the structural study results for the south garage. We were presented with a revised sidewalk expansion policy for consideration, and we also conducted the IDA meeting. Prior to that meeting, the commission met an executive session, excuse me, it's contagious,
Sorry.
to receive legal advice from the solicitor on a variety of topics. The next regular meeting of the commission will be held on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 at 8 p.m. in this room. Here are the ways the public can participate in person. You don't need to pre-register, simply show up at the appropriate meeting time or remotely via the Zoom webinar format. Again, you don't need to pre-register, simply click the link located on the meeting agenda on the municipal website. If you wish to speak during the citizens' comments or during public hearings, simply use the raised hand feature on Zoom and you'll be notified when it's your turn. I will also add that following this meeting, the commission will go back into executive session to continue discussions from earlier.
Thank you. Next, community highlights. Commission Vice President Swager Wilson, please.
Thank you, President Silverman. Meet Mount Lebanon's first responders in a fun, casual setting at the Rock the Block with Public Safety Block Party. Stop by Markham Elementary this Saturday, August 12th, from noon to 3 p.m. for games, music, and food. You'll even have a chance to see emergency vehicles up close. Bring your bikes and helmets for this family-friendly event, sponsored by Mount Lebanon Police, Fire, and Medical Rescue Team South Authority. At this time of year, standing water can provide a breeding ground for mosquitoes, and that poses a health risk to pets and people. You can help by eliminating all standing water in your yard. Places it tends to accumulate include pool covers, empty pots, toys, buckets, vases, trees, trunks, gutters, and fountains. Here's a reminder that the USDA and Allegheny Health Department are dropping rabies vaccines throughout the month of August. The goal is to reach raccoons, but it's possible you or your pet may come across a vaccine bait on a walk. Although vaccines are not harmful to pets, it could give them digestive symptoms. You're asked to keep dogs and cats inside or on leash so pets don't eat the baits before raccoons can, and I'm assuming you're not going to eat it either. Details are at mountlebanon.org under trending now. The municipality needs crossing guards for the school year be the first and last face our kids see as part of their school day. Working at the municipality is fun, rewarding, and we offer competitive pay and benefits. Jobs are posted on our website at mountlebanon.org.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for any resident to express an opinion on any topic pertaining to local government. The commission enjoys hearing from the public on various issues and learning about items to address in the future. If you have specific questions, we will try and answer them at the end of your comments. If we can't, we commit to getting you the answers as soon as possible. When I call your name, please come to the podium to address the commission. Please state your name and address for the record. In fairness, we ask that each speaker to share their thoughts for 5 minutes. The community is as good as each person in this room and online. We work together to make this community that we can all be proud of, and we hope that the dialogue remains respectful. We also appreciate the audience's efforts to refrain from any behavior that is disruptive or might intimidate free speech. Let's see, first on the list, Colonel Hoon.
Bill Hume, 456 Coolidge Avenue. Okay, getting back to where I was last time. Craig B. Swoopy's goal here, USDA Wildlife Services, was to get a full-time team into Mount Lebanon and a steady flow of cash to his group. He wanted the entire community wide open to shooting. Churches, private property, schools, the whole deal. Okay, he didn't get all that, and we moved on to the second group. Tony D. Nicola, lovely guy. He was standing right here when he told the commission that he had killed 10,000 deer. You could see people thinking, this is the solution to our problem. Well, he called his group White Buffalo, and if any of you know anything about it, a white buffalo is a sacred animal to the Native Americans. Nobody kills a white buffalo. D. Nicola had a system. He very carefully regulated his killing. We have people in our group that are extremely good with statistical analysis and keeping track of numbers. We found that he was trying to control the number of deer left in the township, so there would always be something for his team to come back to. Well, his goal was the same as Swoopy's. He wanted a position which would be a steady flow of income forever. That's what he wanted. Then the trap and shoot guys, well, they were kind of pathetic. We think they were trying to get into the action, but they just didn't quite know how to do it. They're the ones, they had a trap over here in Bird Park, got a young deer in it, female doe, took 11 shots to kill that doe. Talk about animal cruelty. Lovely, just typical of the program. By the way, D. Nicola got kicked out of Akron because his team was caught putting plastic bags on the heads of wounded deer. That didn't go over well in the evening news. So, trap and shoot guys, well, they just sort of mucked around for a bit, didn't know what they were doing apparently. Then we got the Suburban Wildlife Management Group. Lovely guys, wear pinstripe suits in the kill zone. They're just amazing. The overall goal of all these groups is to milk the fat cow Mount Lebanon for as much money as they can get for as long as they can get it. And they'll do anything to do that. That's the name of the game. They don't care about killing the deer. You know, they'll kill enough deer to keep active, including your Suburban Wildlife Management Group. Remember now that Craig B. Swoopy is extremely honest. He said to the commission, you're never going to get control of these deer unless you do it my way. You know, wide open community, shoot them everywhere, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year round. The reason is nobody else is doing this. And you might say, what about Upper St. Clair? They shoot deer. Yeah, they do. But they don't have the goals that you guys do. They don't have an extermination plan. All they want to do is control the numbers so people stop complaining. You guys want to wipe out what you call the herd. There is no herd. Okay, now, don't have time to start on anything else, so I'll call it a night. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
One correction, our deer call is not a deer extermination plan to eliminate every deer in the municipality. That's a bit of a misrepresentation of the program. Next on the agenda.
You may or may not know I'm half deaf. I have no idea what you said.
That it is not a deer eradication program to eliminate every deer in the municipality. That is not the goal of the program. That has not been the goal of the program since I've been commissioned, starting in 2014. So you're calling it to kill every deer in Mount Lebanon is not a correct.
Well, every deer that comes into
representation.
Mount Lebanon.
It is not a correct representation of the program. But we have other folks on the list, so let's get the next person on the list.
Wonderful.
No problem. Karen Early, come on down.
Good evening. Hi, I am Karen Early and my husband and I own 320 and 322 Pennsylvania Boulevard. So first off, I want to thank the planning board and you commissioners for all the attention that you have given to our concerns regarding this development. Some of you have lived with this development as long as we have, which is over a decade now. So I am a court reporter in federal court. I see democracy in action every day. From the most heinous crime of the Tree of Life shooter to a person charged with possession of cocaine. Our federal bench treats everyone that comes before it with the utmost respect. And I have to tell you, that is what I have experienced coming before all the Mount Lebanon boards regarding this development. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit. When I turned 20, I bought my first car. It was a brand new blue Chevy Camaro with racing stripes on the sides, vinyl seats, no air conditioning, and you had to wind down the windows. So after the warranty expired and my car was aging, I would take it to my mechanic. At first, it was a couple times a year. Then it got to be several times a year, to the point at 16 years old, I was taking my car almost monthly. So this one time I pull up into the mechanics, my check engine light is on, my car is putting along. And these two mechanics are talking outside the garage bays and they see me pull up. The one guy looks over his shoulder and he shouts into the garage, "Hey, Camaro is here." And I was like, wow, they don't even say my name. They know me as Camaro. So I bring that up to you to sympathize with you. When the mechanics saw me with my Camaro pull into their garage, they inwardly groaned, as you all must have groaned when you saw the residents at Poplar development on your agenda again. So after the 2018 lawsuit, a new development was proposed. We again were attending meetings almost monthly. The developer seemed inept and didn't instill any confidence in us. Gateway was required to rewrite reports continuously. It was really hard to keep track of all the changes and the revisions. But in all the meetings we attended, you boards were attentive, you were focused, and you listened to us. Yes, we are still very concerned about land stability. Gateway has done their darndest to mentor this developer. But we feel they need strict oversight. We do want this development to be a success. We will accept your decision because after all these years, we have seen that you care about Mount Lebanon the way we do. So again, I thank you all for all the consideration that you have given us about this development. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next on the list, Dan Early.
Imagine now we got the same last name. I'm Dan Early and Karen and I own the 314, 320 and 322 on Pennsylvania Boulevard. So we're the closest properties to the development. I have only one thing I really wanted to speak to tonight and Karen mentioned it. And that is, we have come to the point now where the planning, the going through the planning board has come to an end. And it was, as she said, a struggle. It took a very long time and with many, many revisions. But now we're at the hard part, which is actually executing, actually having development and building what they propose to build. We're deeply concerned that without strict oversight by Mount Lebanon, that things may not be done well. And we say that because of the fact that we saw them struggling with just the plans. And we would really hope that Mount Lebanon will monitor the land stability while this is going on. There is no insurance for landslides. If there's a landslide and your house is destroyed, you have, the only recourse is to try to blame it on somebody else, which takes many years, and may not be successful. So we're counting on you to help us with the oversight that we can't have over this development. And I plead with you and I thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next on the list, Donald Bossart.
Donald Bossart, 349 Ashland. I have sent the commissioners 3 comments or separate comments on 3 subjects. I am assuming that you have gotten them and possibly read them. There are copies of them in the back of the room for handout. I'm not going to restate anything that you have in writing. I'm going to get to the point. First of all, I'm talking about the cul-de-sac. Why am I interested in the cul-de-sac? Why am I so persistent? I have in my history a experience with a backup accident that is so tragic, I won't repeat it. I can't repeat it and stay together. So I'm sensitive to backups. Who else is sensitive to backup? The fire department. Standards operating procedures. Current revision, January 23 by Kurt Christoffel. Complete detail on how to back up a piece of fire apparatus. So I think that I'm not alone in being sensitive to backup problems. The developer is providing a cul-de-sac, which is required, so its outer boundaries to be 110 feet, and he's squeezing it down to 50 feet. There is no precedence for that in Mount Lebanon. If there is, I apologize, but I can't find it on the maps. This is all about money or safety. When you vote tonight, you will show where your interests lie. The second item, slope stability and stormwater management. We're uncomfortable with the plan as it stands. We were more comfortable in 2018 when a different team approached the same property, the same hill, in a way that kept the water away and provided very stout retaining walls. In 2023, you have in front of you a totally different approach. A system that is designed to put the water into the earth. Retaining walls are a little fuzzy because we have statements by the engineer of record a little bit in the past. I don't know where they stand, but the statements were the retaining walls weren't designed to retain anything. They were to modulate the slope. We are very concerned about that. And if you approve this and it goes ahead, we are considering, the neighbors who are immediately adjacent to this are considering having the monuments put in so we can monitor the motion of our own properties. I don't know why we assume that expense. Perhaps you could help us monitor this plan of slope stability and stormwater management. If it fails. The next thing is the quality of the plan. I won't go through the details.
I'm told by the solicitor, you're allowed additional time.
Thank you. We have commented routinely that we are uncomfortable with the process of getting this plan to the point where it can get to your desk, to get it approved. We don't get any feedback when we complain, except they say, you say, they say, don't worry, there are ample checks and balances. Everything is done by the professionals. We don't have that confidence that you folks have. Think about the possibility that this project may be well, we know that the planning process is not perfect because I've got here a partial list of 8 things that don't meet code. Yet they have been presented to you as acceptable. Your decision, you can accept a plan that is not perfect. Our concern is, will that same process and all those same players give us a project in place that is less than perfect? Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list. Jane Collins, his last name was? One down, please.
And thank you for the extra time.
You're welcome.
I'm Jane Collins. I live at 339 Ashland. Just to go on the record that this slope stability is a major concern. I live sort of at the apex of the hill, right overlooking the development. And so I am very concerned about that issue. I did write a note to the commissioners, and my main source of information was a portal, an Allegheny County landslide portal. So it's obvious that landslides are a common problem in Allegheny County. Did I say Mount Lebanon? I meant Allegheny County. So there's an Allegheny County landslide portal that describes the majestic hills, et cetera. So it is a real problem here, and it's a real risk, I think, that we're facing. The other thing that they talked about was slope creep. That's a more gradual process. And that sometimes it's not recognizable when you're looking at a potential development site. But I believe that there is evidence of creep because my, personally, speaking on my own property, my hillside has been gradually expanding so that my retaining walls are collapsing. And so there is evidence that of earth movement. And so again, we are concerned, and as been mentioned, if something would happen, our homes would be damaged. There's no recourse other than the court system, which nobody wants to go through. So we, just to reiterate, I'm asking also for appropriate oversight, and as you look at the plans, ask yourselves, is there anything else that could or should be done to protect not only the development, but our homes as well. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the list, Maeve Jerry?
Well, actually, she couldn't make it tonight, and she asked if I would present her comments. I don't know if that's permissible or not, but
We're told that's permissible, so.
okay. Let's see here. She also submitted something in writing, so I'll just hit the highlights here. Sort of same concerns about the slope stability. She describes that as far as movement in her own home, shifting, cracks in the walls, shifting in the basements, that has been occurring since she owned her home. So again, giving evidence of sort of this precarious land that we live on. And she's also concerned that, what recourse again do we have if there is damage to our homes as a result of the development because of the insurance lack of coverage? And so I'm just going to skip to the end of her letter where she has some specific requests, and her request is that the development be approved only pursuant to some conditions. And number one is that that there are regular unannounced inspections of the work that's being done to make sure that it's adherent to the plan. Secondly, before construction can begin, the developer should fund an independent surveyor to memorialize the current height of the properties. I think somebody else was mentioning measuring the height, and that it be done at the developer's expense. I think there might be something in the code about that. And then thirdly, the municipality commits to defining an individual responsible for legal matters related to the construction in the case of the LLC dissolving. And it's lastly, she says, our neighbors deserve the peace of mind that they have a clear path of protection in case their private property is damaged related to this enterprise. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Next on the list, Dave Egler.
Dave Egler, 121 Poplar Drive. Boy, 3 years goes by really fast, and but I come up here and it's like it's 3 days ago because the same issues are on the agenda, same discussion. So many things haven't changed, but I'm going to try to go through the list here real quick. Hopefully I have enough time. On the discussion session, not having the numbers in front of me would be a help, but based on the discussion, what I heard on the garbage collection, this has been an issue forever and costs are going up. I think you guys are headed in the right direction. It's a shame about recycling. Recycling's been around a long time, and the longer it goes on, the worse it gets. There's less being recycled now. I used to have a full can every 2 weeks. Now I could go once a month if need be. So I'm really disappointed in the way recycling is out there nowadays. Where you take numbers 1 and 2, there's so many items now that don't match that number. So, but based on what the discussions, I would say go ahead with your recommendation. And as far as that cost, I would not recommend a fee. I think a fee is unfair to the people on the lower end on the economic scale because it's a flat fee for everybody. Put it in part of the taxes like everything else. It'll be spread out more equally. Start making fees, the people on the lower end and economic scale are going to pay the higher price. So that was on the waste and sub recycling. On the garage, I know there's a couple up here that sat with me many years and 10 years on the board, and I think when I left about 4 or 5 years ago, or whenever it was, I think my last comments were, make sure that the commissioners understand that something needs to be done and done soon. In the next 5 to 10 years, that garage should be either coming down or should be a plan in place and something should be developed. So hopefully in 5 years, there will be a plan. So you got maybe 4 more months here to come up with it, but I'm glad you're at least talking about it. But the sooner you come up with the plan, the better, because like I said, you don't want to be putting a lot of money into that garage. That would be like getting a 73 Dodge Dart and putting new body panels on a rebuild engine. It's not worth it anymore. That garage has been around a long time. The recommendation from what I hear is probably the best way to go. Put some Band-Aids on it until you come up with your plan. Just please, the commissioners, you need to come up with that soon. The sidewalk, oh my gosh, we're going really back in time. I'm going back decades at a time. Look at that look from Keith. He probably still has the original from the early 90s, I believe, sidewalk studies. And there's somebody else that remembers. I was the community liaison for the
Wow.
finance committee at the time,
Mhm.
and we asked for volunteers from the community. I'm not looking into the crystal ball, I'm giving you history here. Okay, we had about 20 people show up at the first meeting. 2 people, the chairperson and 1 other, tried to come up with constructive ideas of how to raise money. The other 18 in the room were demanding to stop immediately the project. They didn't want to see it being done. No way, and it was nasty, let me tell you. People do not want to put 1 cent into a sidewalk, and even if you put in a sidewalk for free, you're going to get complaints about, now I have to maintain it. There's an ongoing cost. So if you're looking for a lot of pain and suffering, go ahead with the sidewalk issue. Let me tell you, from history, it is painful. It's a good thing to look at. It's a good thing to do. But let me tell you some of the problems. Yeah, these sidewalks, I do a lot of walking. The sidewalks don't connect. There's trees sticking out. They're going around trees. And then when you get the retaining walls, wait till you see what the costs are and the complaints. So I'm just giving you fair warning. If you try to get something going and you try to get the residents on board, the residents are not going to be on board. They're going to be in mass trying to stop it. That's my prediction. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Once again, I'm all for sidewalks. I think they're great, but when you try to get the people to go along with it, and if they have to pay, I'm just going from memory from 30 years ago. So, last but not least, go ahead. Do you have a question, Steve?
No, I was having a flashback to 11 years ago, we were on.
Let's speak of like,
ad
you
hoc
ever have
parking
those
facilities
dreams or I
board.
guess nightmares? You go back and you're at work and it's like 30 years ago and people, I'm looking at, I'm living the dream right now. It's like the same people and the same issues. It's unbelievable. The last thing, write it down real quick. This will be quick. On the Poplar, I've kind of been out of touch with what's going on in the project, but I will be back with the Poplar, or I should say Pennsylvania Boulevard Walking Trail. Some of you commissioners are aware that I pushed that a number of years ago. That's a project that goes back 3 decades ago. Okay, acquiring properties. There are probably still 17 tax delinquent properties along that stretch.
Yeah.
That I think the municipality should acquire by some means. There's been studies done many times and cost estimates. I think the municipality should acquire that property, at least get it in our hands and then move on from there. That's the first step. So I've been trying now for 15 years. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. All right, let's see. Do we have any comments online?
We have nothing online.
Okay, nothing online. Okay. Someone brought in food, so you got our attention. All right, okay.
Oh, wait, somebody just raised their hand online.
Okay, please state your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Mary Claire Reynolds, 320 Ashland Avenue. I live on the even side of Ashland Avenue, across from the homes that are above the proposed Poplar development. I know that this has been going on for years. This has been discussed at local neighborhood gatherings. There have been special meetings by the neighbors. It's been discussed at block parties for years. I do know that it has changed and gotten better, I guess, if you have to say that, over the years. However, there is a huge concern, and I, for one, do not want to be interviewed by KDKA TV or WTAE 5 or 10 years from now when homes across the street from me have slid down due to the slope and poor planning and no oversight. So to tag on to many of the commenters tonight, we would really appreciate some oversight, some leadership from the municipality to ensure that the developers will stay in line and consider everybody around them. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else have their hand raised?
Nobody else.
All righty, all right, citizens' comments are now concluded. Next on the agenda, item 3, Commissioner Grella, please.
Mr. President. Consideration of the minutes from the regular meeting held July 11, 2023. I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 4, Commissioner Swager Wilson, please.
Thank you. Consideration of resolution number R 13 23, opting to participate in the Allegheny County Community Development Block Grant Program and Home Investment Partnership Program. The Allegheny Department of Economic Development is seeking participation from various communities for the Allegheny County Development Block Grant Program and Home Investment Partnership Program for a period of 3 years, 2024, 2025, and 2026. These programs provide funding that assists and supports various projects that benefit local government. I move to adopt resolution number R 13 23.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 5, Commissioner Rainey, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of resolution number R 14 23, accepting a police traffic service grant. The Pennsylvania Department of Transportation is providing grant funds of $251,075.53. That includes DUI enforcement, aggressive driving, occupant safety enforcement, and pedestrian safety for the 2024 to 2026 calendar years. I move to adopt resolution number R 14 23, authorizing acceptance of the grant funds.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 6, Commissioner Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Receipt of the capital improvement program. As required by the charter, the capital improvement program for 2024 through 2028 was submitted to the commission on August 1st, 2023. A public hearing is required to be held on this program prior to the issuance of the manager's recommended budget. Mr. President, I would like to acknowledge the receipt of the 2024 to 2028 capital improvement program.
Thank you. We will set a public hearing for August 10th, 2020, excuse me, October 10th. Can't go back in time. October 10th, 2023. Item 7, Commissioner Grella, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of the final approval of a subdivision plan for the residences at Poplar Project on Pennsylvania Boulevard. Request for the recommendation for final approval of a lot consolidation and subdivision plan. The residences at Poplar LLC owns the property located on an unopened section of Pennsylvania Boulevard. The developer is requesting approval to consolidate 4 parcels currently identified as lot and block 192C-23, 192C-24, 192C-30, and 192C-32 in the Avondale Plan of Lots and divide them into 5 lots. The planning board recommended final approval of the subdivision plan revision at its December 2022 meeting. Presentation was given at the commission meeting on July 11, 2023 by the developer. I move to grant final approval of a subdivision plan for the residences at Poplar Project on Pennsylvania Boulevard.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 8, Commissioner Sparker Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of final approval for the residents at Poplar Land Development Plan on Pennsylvania Boulevard. At its meeting on Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, the planning board voted in favor of a motion to recommend final approval for the residences at Poplar Land Development Plan. The developer presented the project to the commission at the July 11th, 2023 meeting. The residents at Poplar LLC owns 4 adjacent parcels on Pennsylvania Boulevard. The developer proposes to construct 5 two-family dwellings on the site for a total of 10 dwelling units. As part of the land development plan, Pennsylvania Boulevard will be improved to municipal standards up to the intersection with Poplar Drive. The property is zoned as R3 residential. 2 family dwellings are a use by right in the R3 zoning district. The developer has requested the following modifications to the Mount Lebanon Code, Chapter 16 subdivision and land development as saldo. A modification to section 805.5 for the size requirements of a cul-de-sac. An irregular shape is proposed due to the lack of space required to fulfill the ordinance standards. A modification to section 805.9 to allow for the sidewalk along Pennsylvania Boulevard to be constructed 3 feet away from the back of the curb, to be separated by a planting strip in lieu of the required 6 feet to more closely match the sidewalk that is already constructed along the road. In addition, the request also asks that the existing sidewalk along Pennsylvania Boulevard remain at 3 feet in width and transition to 5 feet in width in front of the residences at Poplar Development. Modification of section 816.1.3 for the street tree requirement to be 20 feet back from the street curb. Due to the congestion of underground utilities in the area, the trees are proposed to be approximately 23 feet back from the curb. A modification to Appendix 6 on construction standards to substitute a 9-inch straight curb along the north side of Pennsylvania Boulevard in lieu of the 2-foot standard rolled curb. The request is due to the potential hazards abutting the north side of the road, which includes steep grades and existing railroad tracks. The requested modifications to section 805.5 and Appendix 6 were previously granted by the commission in a decision issued December 11th, 2018. The modification request to section 805.9 and 816.1.3 are different than those previously reviewed by the commission in 2018. I move to 1, grant the requested modifications to section 805.5, section 816.1.3, section 805.9, and the construction standards in Appendix 6. Number 2, grant final approval to the residences at Poplar Land Development Plan conditioned on the execution and approval of the required development agreement and conditioned upon receipt of the required financial securities within 60 days.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
I do want to make a quick comment. I seconded this because I do believe it needs to get a vote, although I just want to make a comment. We have a new Citizens Academy here, and we have a Citizens Fire Academy. I think we need to have a Development Academy in our municipality to give people a better understanding of how development works and the different things that go into development. This was the first project that I saw when I was sworn in as a commissioner in 2018. To me, the issues that were present in that development, which I think ultimately were the issues that resulted in that development being turned down, and the same issues that resulted in that particular turn down being upheld in court, denial being upheld in court, right? This is a different development. It's different for a lot of reasons. And I think we see that in what the Planning Commission has sent across and the comments that the engineers have made and the comments that were addressed that the engineers have made. But I think it's important that people understand the difference of the development and the process of development and how it comes to us. And it's very important. We have a zoning code and we have a SALDO, subdivision and land development ordinance. Those are not suggestions, right? That's how we come together as a community to say, this is how we are going to control how properties get developed, right? Those are based on sound engineering principles and they're based on our experiences here locally. It has been my experience that those things are put in place, and especially in our case where I have read those many times, both the SALDO and the zoning code in their entirety. And they're good codes and we should follow them. And it is my belief and has been my vote in the past. When any of those waivers have come in front of me, I have voted to make sure that developers follow them. And I believe they should follow them in all the cases when they've come across this desk for our vote. So I do want to bring that up just to highlight the differences in the types of votes that we see here today, right? We see one for the final development, which we're working on now. The one that I brought up just a few moments ago was for subdivision, which is a little bit different. And then the next one we're going to have is related to a developer's agreement. So I think it's important that people understand the different types of development that we do here in the process of development and why that's important. So I'm done.
I was just going to make the comment that the commission has approved in the past the shape of the cul-de-sac. Well, the fire department has approved, told us they're okay with that. The fire department has approved that shape, that size for that cul-de-sac. And so a comment was made earlier about safety. Well, if the fire department says it's okay, that's fine by me. I don't know if anybody else has any comments.
No.
All right, with all that, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
So the motion passes 4 votes to 1. Item 9, Commissioner Grella, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration for the execution of a development agreement and stormwater operation and maintenance agreement with Residences at Poplar LLC. The Mount Lebanon Commission granted final approval for the Residences at Poplar Land Development Plan. One of the requirements for final approval is the development agreement that addresses such issues as posting of amenities, bond, letter of credit for the required public and private improvements, submission of a cash deposit, and any other provisions or conditions that may be required by the municipality. Additionally, the engineer and solicitor have recommended the municipality enter into a stormwater operations and maintenance agreement to ensure the private stormwater infrastructure on site will be owned and maintained by the private property owners. Finally, it is recommended that the municipality execute an agreement with the developer and residents of Pennsylvania Boulevard regarding the status of the boulevard and improvements to be made thereon. I move to authorize the proper municipal officials to execute the following documents along with any revisions approved by the manager and solicitor. 1, development agreement between Poplar Residences at Poplar LLC for the Residences at Poplar Land Development Plan, conditioned upon receipt of the required financial securities within 60 days of approval. 2, stormwater operations and maintenance agreement with Residences at Poplar LLC for their private stormwater management facilities as part of the Residences at Poplar Land Development Plan. And 3, agreement with the developer and certain Pennsylvania Boulevard residents regarding Pennsylvania Boulevard status and improvements to be made thereon.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
Just want to comment that this stormwater operation and maintenance agreement is very essential to slope and slope deterioration. Stormwater is one of the biggest things that brings down slopes. And I think that we have a very, very strong stormwater requirements. I would applaud Gateway Engineers for making sure that that's in place. And I think it's a very good way to resolve hillside slope deterioration.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 10, Commissioner Rainey, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration to purchase 1 animal control truck kennel. Commission approval is requested to purchase 1 custom-built animal control truck kennel from Sabre Equipment Inc. For a purchase price of $63,377. This new kennel will replace a kennel that was over 20 years old and has reached the end of its useful life. Previously approved budgeted funds for the South Hills Cooperative Animal Control will be used for the purchase of this new kennel. Sabre Equipment has quoted the custom-built kennel under CoStar's contract number 013-007. The budgeted amount is $63,100. I move to award the purchase of one custom-built animal control truck kennel from Sabre Equipment Incorporated through the CoStar's contract at a purchase price of $63,377.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
I think we need to do a better job of bringing electric vehicles to our fleet, and I think we need to start with this one.
Kennel,
Understand?
So this is does this kennel sit on top of the already existing truck and truck bed? Okay.
So so it says a truck kennel. This is not a vehicle. This is just the kennel piece. Okay, so
Okay.
it's not a vehicle.
No engine, no motor, it just sits.
Sits on
the
top.
truck bed.
Animals are placed in when they are. Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you for that clarification.
yeah, thank you very much. I was going to consider voting no because I want to investigate an electric vehicle option, but if it's not a vehicle, then it doesn't apply.
Any other thoughts? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. The motion carries 4-1. Item 11, Commissioner Flynn, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of bids for solid waste and recycling collection services. On June fifth, 2023, the South Hills Area Council of Governments opened bids for solid waste and recycling collection. 2 bids were received from Waste Management and Westmoreland Sanitary Landfill. Bid options for municipal solid waste and recycling included weekly, bi-weekly, traditional manual collection, and automated collection services. The municipality must enter into a 5-year contract with one of the providers before August 19th, 2023. The contract term will commence on January 1st, 2024 and run through December 31st, 2028. The commission discussed the options presented in the bids at discussion sessions on June 27th and earlier this evening. Mr. President, I move to award the contract for solid waste and recycling to Westmoreland Sanitary Landfill LLC for weekly manual collection of solid waste, bi-weekly manual collection of recyclables with costs to be paid on a per unit basis. The estimated 5-year cost of this contract is $18,278,495. Additionally, the commission authorizes the proper municipal officials to execute the articles of agreement with Westmoreland Sanitary Landfill LLC, provided the agreement continues the current arrangement of up to 15 bags per week of solid waste and unlimited recycling collection with the ability to collect 1 bulk item per week.
Second,
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? As I said in the meeting before this, that I'm supporting voting for Westmoreland Sanitary Landfill because it's less expensive than the other bid, allows for unlimited recycling, and also no trash bins are required to be landfilled. We would love to have gone for weekly recycling, but the cost is just too high. So that's why at least I'm supporting the every other week recycling. So that's my reason for voting yes. I don't know if any other commissioners had thoughts.
Well, I'll just reiterate what I said in the meeting earlier. I'm a firm believer in automated pickup. I'm a firm believer in fixed bin systems. But I believe that asking residents to transition to a fixed bin system that isn't more flexible and that addresses not only trash and recycling, but also organics would just add additional complexity along with different sizes of bins. So while it is the right thing to do long-term, we need to find partners that are going to be more effective at engaging in managing the waste stream more effectively and helping us transition our residents to do so. So until that time, we need to stick with, the low-cost bidder and the system we have.
yeah, and I'll add to that. We were disappointed that we only received 2 bids. We were expecting more than that, and we were expecting to have more options and more competition. And so given the choices that we have, I think this is the right one.
Yeah, do you want to say something?
Just was gonna say, well said for Mr. Flynn.
Yes. Well said for Mr. Flynn indeed. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 12, Mr. Spargo Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration for the rejection of the Mount Lebanon Public Safety Center roof replacement project. Bids were received on June 29th, 2023 for the Mount Lebanon Public Safety Center roof replacement project. The project involves removal and replacement of existing EPDM roof systems with new TPO roof membrane system, installation of insulation and replacement of roof coping and flashing at the Mount Lebanon Public Safety Center. Only one bid was received from Ramp Construction Company, Inc. for the following items. Base bid, $301,000, add alternate one bid, $90,000. Because only one bid was received and it exceeded the budgeted amount and the engineer's opinion of cost, which was $248,325, it is recommended that the bid be rejected. I move to reject the Mount Lebanon Public Safety Center roof replacement bid from Ramp Construction Company, Inc.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
I'd just like to say that I really do appreciate that we are consistently moving toward this TPO roof membrane system. I think it's, yeah, it's a white roof system. It is, much more robust in terms of cooling. It will set us up potentially for future things like putting in, solar panels if necessary. So I appreciate that we are going down that path and I hope that we will continue to do so.
I agree. The news, I'm sure you can't avoid it, just the heat waves that we've been experiencing and how municipalities across the country are trying to tackle that. And here we are already voting on tackling it. A white roof is a key move to reduce overall heat. It can reduce it approximately 10 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is a large building and we're doing it for another municipal building as well. We hope so.
All right, just a reminder to our audience, a yes means no. All right, all those in favor, signify by voting aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, which means the bid has been rejected. Item 13, Commissioner Grella, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of appointments to serve as junior commissioners. The commission received applications from a number of highly qualified applicants for junior commissioner. The applicants were interviewed by a committee. I move to make the following appointments. Sarah Hudak for fall 2023 semester and Katie Yang for spring 2024 semester.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I do want to make a quick comment here. We have the luxury of having a lot of smart and talented students in Mount Lebanon. We had way more. It says a number of highly qualified. We had way more applicants than we could possibly take. We can only take one per semester. And we have had some fantastic students here over the last couple of years, some of which are now coming back to live here and, you know, getting into their careers. And it's really cool to see. And I think they've done a great job of keeping the commission apprised of the voice of the student body. We also interviewed some other really stellar candidates who I think we're going to be talking to board positions about. We've created junior board positions because we have a lot of great candidates and only one can serve as a junior commissioner for each semester. So we're going to have some of the students helping us with some of the boards, which is fantastic. So that was it.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 14, Commissioner Rainey, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of the expenditure list for June totaling $6,081,831.92. I move to approve the expenditure list for June totaling $6,081,831.92.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 15, Commissioner Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that the reports be received and filed.
The departmental reports will be received and filed, and we are adjourned.
You announced already, we're going back into the.
Yes.
Okay. All right.